Johnny Depp's unexpected appearance on The View was billed as a promotional visit for his latest independent film, an intimate drama far removed from his typical blockbuster roles. Viewers tuned in, anticipating a rare moment of candor from the famously enigmatic actor. However, few could have foreseen that the segment would spiral into one of the most talked-about live TV confrontations of the year. From the outset, Depp seemed slightly on edge, responding with careful restraint. 2 questions about his comeback: the legal battles that had dominated headlines, and his recent work. But the mood darkened sharply when Whoopi Goldberg, the show's veteran anchor, challenged Depp's public image. "A lot of people still aren't convinced, Johnny. They see fame shielding accountability," she said, her voice firm but calm. Depp blinked slowly, clearly registering the tone. "Accountability goes both ways, Whoopi," he replied. "But if we're here for a trial, I wasn't told." The tension hung in the air, palpable and escalating with every breath. The conversation quickly turned from reflective to combative. Goldberg pressed further, referencing past controversies and how Depp's supporters had attacked his critics. "Online, do you believe your fans helped silence voices that needed to be heard?" she asked pointedly. Depp exhaled, steady but visibly annoyed. "I believe people are tired of being told who's allowed to be heard and who isn't," he said. "Silencing happens from all sides." Goldberg raised an eyebrow, countering that survivors of abuse often feel re-traumatized when public figures avoid responsibility. Depp replied sharply, "And what if I'm the one who survived something?" The studio audience murmured as the conversation became deeply personal. Whoopi didn't flinch, saying, "Then say that. But don't pretend you haven't also benefited from power and privilege." Depp paused, lips pursed, and said coldly, "I don't pretend anything. I've paid my dues publicly, brutally, and repeatedly. I won't do it again on command." Trying to regain control of the conversation, co-host Sarah N. attempted to steer things toward Depp's new film, praising his performance and asking about his artistic inspiration. But the calm was short-lived. Whoopi returned to the earlier point with a follow-up. "Your art matters, Johnny, but so does the impact you have off-screen." Depp replied tersely, "Impact without truth is just theater." Whoopi leaned forward, narrowing her eyes. "And truth without empathy is just ego." That line seemed to snap something in Depp. He leaned back, expression unreadable, then slowly leaned toward the mic. "I didn't come here to be psychoanalyzed by someone who's built a second career judging people from a table." The audience gasped audibly. The other co-hosts looked stunned, unsure whether to intervene. Whoopi, unfazed, replied, "Then maybe you're on the wrong show." Depp laughed dryly, stood up and said, "Maybe I am." Without another word, Depp removed his mic, nodded briefly to the other hosts, and walked off the set. Producers rushed to cut to a commercial break, but the moment had already imprinted itself in TV history. The live audience was silent for several seconds before erupting into a chaotic mix of whispers and gasps. Backstage sources later confirmed that Depp refused to return to the segment and left the studio altogether within 10 minutes of the walk-off. Meanwhile, Whoopi reportedly returned to the dressing room stone-faced, declining to comment further. The fallout was instantaneous. Social media exploded with footage from the tense exchange, with hashtags like #DeppStormsOut, #WhoopiVsJohnny, and #ViewClash dominating trending charts. Some fans praised Whoopi's courage in holding Depp accountable. Others hailed Depp for standing up against what they saw as an unfair ambush. The online discourse fractured along familiar lines, echoing broader societal debates about justice, redemption, and the media's role in both. By the afternoon, every major entertainment outlet was covering the incident. TMZ, Variety, and Rolling Stone issued rapid analysis. Cable news ran split-screen coverage comparing the walk-off to past celebrity clashes on The View, calling it one of the most volatile episodes since Rosie O'Donnell's infamous blowout. Legal analysts revisited Depp's past court battles, some questioning whether he should still be given platforms at all, while others argued that Goldberg had crossed the line into character assassination. Within hours, Depp's publicist released a statement. Mr. Depp agreed to appear on The View in good faith to discuss his new work. he was not informed that the appearance would be turned into a moral interrogation. He will not be returning. The brief but pointed response sent a clear message. Depp felt ambushed, and he was done playing along. ABC, under mounting pressure, issued a generic statement that evening, expressing regret over the unexpected disruption and affirming their commitment to challenging conversations within a respectful environment. But internally, reports swirled that producers were divided. Some believed Goldberg had taken things too far, risking the show's relationship with high-profile guests. Others felt she had done her job by speaking uncomfortable truths. Behind the scenes, tensions rose. Staffers leaked that the pre-interview guidelines had agreed to avoid legal topics, guidelines allegedly disregarded when Goldberg took the discussion into personal territory. Meanwhile, Depp's fans began organizing boycotts of The View, while Goldberg's defenders framed the moment as a rare example of celebrity accountability on live television. The line between discussion and confrontation had been crossed, and both sides were now digging in. Other celebrities began weighing in. Sharon Stone tweeted, "Whoopi doesn't need to go easy on anyone. Oh, that's why she's Whoopi." Meanwhile, comedian Russell Brand posted a video defending Depp's right to walk away from what he called a public shaming disguised as an interview. Podcasters across the political spectrum used the clash as fuelsome, framing it as the latest battle in the culture wars, others examining the power dynamics between male celebrities and veteran women hosts. The clip of Depp storming off had been viewed over 50 million times in under 24 hours. Edits, remixes, and reaction videos dominated TikTok and YouTube. Analysts compared the clash to past TV moments that shifted public narratives. One journalist called it a modern Frost-Nixon, but without the mutual respect. Whatever one's opinion, it was clear that something deeper had been unearthed beneath the surface-level fireworks. Days later, Depp resurfaced at a European film festival, where he received a standing ovation and waved off questions about The View. However, in an interview with a French magazine, he alluded to the event, saying, "There are places you go to share stories, and there are places where stories go to die in noise." Many interpreted the quote as a veiled jab at Goldberg in the show's format. Meanwhile, Whoopi continued hosting without directly addressing the incident, but sources close to the production claimed the showrunners had privately urged her to avoid similar confrontations in the near future. Ratings spiked temporarily following the incident, but longtime viewers expressed concern over the show's tone. Commentators questioned whether The View could continue straddling the line between journalism and tabloid drama without alienating its audience or its guests. The clash between Johnny Depp and Whoopi Goldberg became a cultural touchstone, a prism through which wider conversations were refracted. Debates raged on about platforming controversial figures, the limits of redemption, and the responsibility of interviewers to challenge versus provoke. For some, Depp had been unfairly targeted by a legacy media platform looking for clicks. For others, Whoopi had simply refused to let a powerful man control the narrative. The truth, as always, lived somewhere in the tension. Industry insiders said the moment had a chilling effect. Several celebrities allegedly canceled future appearances on The View, unwilling to risk a similar fallout. Meanwhile, late-night hosts and sketch shows had a field day parodying the now infamous walk-off. But even their comedy carried a layer of commentary. The nation hadn't just witnessed a clash between two icons. It had watched the slow combustion of a deeper conflict between image and inquiry. In the end, the fallout from Johnny Depp's walk-off wasn't about who won the argument. It became a reflection of our collective discomfort with messy, unresolved truths. It reminded audiences that fame doesn't inoculate anyone from tough questions, and that tough questions don't always yield clear answers. Depp's decision to leave mid-interview was seen by some as weakness, by others as a rare moment of authenticity in a media landscape addicted to rehearsed soundbites. Goldberg's refusal to back down was seen as either brave or abrasive, depending on one's view of her role, but the impact was undeniable. In an era where attention is currency, both Depp and Goldberg had gone viral not for a performance, but for a confrontation that exposed how thin the line really is between transparency and spectacle. And as millions replayed the moment again and again, one thing was clear: the conversation wasn't over. It had just begun.